All right, so quickly on today's agenda, the duration of today's webinar will be 45 minutes, and the topic is about the Prime Business School at Goldey-Beacom College with full-time CPT eligibility. And our first agenda item is the general information session about Goldey-Beacom College, a little bit about the background and what are offered at the college. And second one would be most affordable, how the tuition structure is and payments are in the area of New York and Pennsylvania. That's where the location is. It's in Delaware, which is south of New Jersey. And how to transfer SEVIS and apply for CPT, those very handy and useful instruction coming up. And last but not least, for the second half of our webinar today, we'll do a live Q&A with Hannah today. Okay, if you have any question or want to learn more about how to apply, you can scan the QR code whenever you see them for a consultation for free with us. So let's get everything started. Okay. First, about who we are as GoElite. So we have our headquarter office located in Los Angeles here. We're a professional consulting agency dedicated to helping international students to thrive in the US. And our service include, but not limited to, first day one CPT university application, second F1 reinstatement or emergency transfer. We can also help you expedite your application process with the school. And also, last but not least, the change of status application. For example, you're changing from another visa status and you want to study here in the US. So our mission is really make students' American dreams come true by providing hybrid professional programs recommendation for free. And we're certified proudly by AIRC. We're the 6th AIRC certified agency in the US. And just this past 2024, we are very proud to become one of the major sponsors of the AIRC. And let's keep going. We recently launched our rewards program and also called Day One CPT Community. That's what we're trying to build for future, for everyone to kind of share your experience and share the resources you found helpful, like course evaluation. And at GoElite, we support your application process and not just your application process. We also foster this community to help everyone and not only in their studies, but also daily life. You can join the rewards program to earn very general cashback. Like just for confirming your enrollment, you get $50. Each point will be equal to $1 US. You can see the redemption right here. So you can join our admitted students group chat. And if you want to learn more about how to get more cash back from us, just let us know once you get admitted. So we also have H-1B blessing for this year event that's happening right now. If you want to sign up, just again, if you see our contact QR code, scan those code and let our consultants know which event you want to join. First one here is the Chilkar Balaji Temple. It's a visa temple in India, I believe. The event is already kicked off, I believe, 1 to 2 weeks ago. So do let us know if you're still interested. It's free, but with limited spots available. You will receive handwritten prayer notes and sent to the temple for you. We will go to the temple for your notes, as I said. And our first visit is right this month, just about 2 weeks ago, and wish you best of luck for this year's H-1B selection. So we're, of course, on Google Map, and we're probably get rated 5.0. I do believe we have some scores under that, but most of our clients kind of very happy about our service. So you can read more about this right here, or the beautiful comments about how we support them. So last but not least, these are all the channels we're currently on and operating. If you have any question, you can also reach out to us and search for our interaction posts on these channels as well. And let me stop share right now and okay, Hannah, back to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Alice. Good evening, everyone. I'm excited to be able to chat with you all about Goldey-Beacom and the different opportunities that exist here, both academically and in terms of CPT employment. As Alice kind of mentioned, I'm going to start with a broader overview, just some general information about GBC. we're very proud of our pretty comprehensive curriculum and our faculty members who are most of the time, we have full-time faculty members, but we also have a good amount of adjuncts who are currently still working in the industry in which they're teaching. So we're really leaning on them to bring us that current content and help our students get career ready or, learn the cutting edge content of that field. I want to take just a minute to draw your attention to our mission, vision, and purpose. The reason I want to take some time here is because none of the programs at Goldey-Beacom require CPT. It's not a requirement for any program. However, if you look at, our mission, our vision, our purpose, they're all very linked to career readiness and for our curriculum to be preparing career-focused graduates. So the kind of guiding morals of what GBC is doing in the classroom, in our offices, really support the need for CPT in the degree program. We refer to this when we're responding to requests for evidence from USCIS about CPT participation, because again, this is really what's driving the majority of our operations is, this desire to empower people to link what they're learning in the classroom to something practical in the corporate environment. I'll take a moment. All of these program offerings are listed on our website, but we do have MBA programs with concentrations as well as majors. The thing to know with the MBA core is those, 7 classes there are the ones that every MBA program takes. The concentration courses allow you up to 9 credits of specialization in that specific field. The majors themselves have 15 credits of specialization. So you still get the breadth of an MBA curriculum, but you get to have a higher degree of specialization with those major programs. The difference in their curriculum, you have more of a specialization and you take fewer of the MBA core requirements from the concentration curricula. Additionally, we do have one STEM designated program, which is our Master of Business Administration with an analytical track. We also have 2 Master of Science degrees to allow for a high degree of specialization in either finance or taxation. And then alternatively, also have a Master of Management degree, which focuses really on a lot more of the qualitative aspects of business and management. There isn't as many quantitative requirements embedded in that program. I do want to take a note here with the STEM designated program, just because if you are hoping to utilize a STEM extension or an OPT after completing your degree, you do want to be mindful of how long you're utilizing a full-time CPT. That's something that, if that were your personal goal, we could kind of walk through how to navigate that, but it's just a balance to keep in mind if you're considering both OPT and CPT. Just so you can get a sense of kind of what, your classmates would be looking like at GBC. These are our numbers as of our fall semester. So we do have a lot of, graduate students coming to us from all over the country, as well as, outside of the US as well. We work with students coming directly from overseas, as well as students transferring from previous degree programs or coming off of their OPT employment. Additionally, if you take a look at our programs to get a sense of, their capacity, the lines exist through the MA counseling program and the certificate programs, because certificate programs do not support an F1 visa. We don't have that authorization from SEVP, and the MA counseling program does not allow for full-time CPT. So those are programs that are not particularly relevant to our discussion this evening, though we're proud of their enrollment as well. I really wanted to draw your attention to the growth in our analytical track, our STEM degree, our comprehensive degree as well, but also business analytics. The analytical track and the business analytics are 2 of our newer programs, and they're launching very strongly, partially because of their STEM designation. Additionally, is taking a look at, the academic profile of our new students. So the students who joined us in the fall semester came to us from a variety of different institutions. They're bringing in a pretty good range of academic performance. So you certainly know that, you would be interacting with people at your level when it comes to your experience and the education you've already gone through. Alice did take a moment to mention already the affordability of GBC. So our institution is a per credit hour institution, meaning you're only ever charged for the number of credits in which you enroll. There are no additional fees. We don't have an application fee. There is a $100 graduation fee at the end of your degree to get your diploma. Outside of that, the only thing you should be charged is your tuition. And one course being 3 credits is looking right now for this academic year at about $3,660. The CPT cost is there as $610, not because it's a fee, there's no CPT fee necessarily, but to be legal, it has to be for academic credit. So you get enrolled in a 1 credit CPT course that is valid for a full year of CPT. So sometimes we have students who will change their employer in the middle of their first year of CPT. They don't have to pay for that 1 credit again. That credit is good for a full year. It's just when it's time to renew for that additional year that another credit gets put on. We do also have a business office that is fantastic with working with our students to set up interest-free payment plans so you don't have to fund everything right up front. And then they're also, our business office, very familiar working with different employers who do tuition reimbursement in different arrangements. Some employers want to wait till the semester's over. Some would prefer to pay for it up front. So they're familiar with the different ways in which employers navigate that and could work with you certainly to ensure that, everything is taken care of. I'll shift a little bit to talk about maintaining an F1 status. The government lets institutions define what full-time enrollment is for our international students. At Goldey-Beacom, our definition of full-time enrollment is 6 credits in a given semester for the fall, spring, and summer semesters. Now, we divide each semester into at least 2 sessions, so you're really only taking 1 class at a time. And additionally, 3 of those credits can be fully online. We offer both asynchronous and synchronous online courses. There is a requirement for you to enroll in 1 hybrid class a semester, and that is because of Department of Homeland Security's policy for F1 international students. I've included a visual there because I think it's easier to see than explain sometimes about the on-site requirements. So there could be a student who joined us in our spring session 1, and they're going to enroll, let's say, hybrid for session 1. So they'll be coming to GBC's campus on January 25th and February 22nd. They could elect to then enroll completely online for session 2. So while they would have online class meetings throughout that session, they wouldn't need to come to campus. So it allows you to kind of have, 2-month periods of time where you're completing your studies completely remotely. And the government is invested in that on a semester by semester basis. So we have some students who will do 2 online classes in a row, but one is in the second half of fall and the other's in the first half of spring. And that, is allowing them, at that point, almost like 6 months of completely remote study before they're coming to our campus for one of their hybrid sessions. Okay. When it comes to the application process, how you apply to GBC, we have an online application. Like I said, no fees associated with it. It's very straightforward. There isn't like a writing sample or any short answer. Should take you maybe 10 or 15 minutes to complete. We do request bachelor degree transcripts and certificates of completion. For degrees that were obtained outside of the US, we don't require the officials directly from the institution. As long as you're able to provide us verification that you achieved that credential, we can proceed that way. We do also need any transcripts from any US institution you've attended. We do require official ones from US schools, though we will take unofficial copies for an application review. So you would just need to make sure that we have that official one before your enrollment began. Then we also request a current resume. And those three components really make up the academic component of your application review. The other documents that we request are really more for visa-related requirements. So the English proficiency and the proof of the English proficiency requirement, that is a requirement that applies really only to students coming overseas. If you are coming to us from a nation where English is a national language, we don't need English proficiency. If you're transferring from a degree that you've completed in the US, we also don't need English proficiency. Or if you're changing your status from an H1, an H4, an F2, you don't need English proficiency scores in those cases either. We would also need a passport and a visa, as well as your most recent I-94. And then if you are coming to GBC seeking an F1 status, whether it be a change of status or a transfer of your F1 status, we do need that financial documentation to demonstrate our cost of attendance. We do accept 2 months worth of pay stubs. You can have, utilize somebody else's finances as long as you provide us with an affidavit. So there is a good amount of flexibility there. We do support and enroll students who are on an F1 visa. We also support students who want to remain on their current visa status and still study outside of F1. So we have some L1 students, some O visa students. We also support students seeking a change of status at no additional charge. If you have to go through the change of status process, that's something that we can support you with. It's lengthy and it looks a lot like, can you defer my I-20 program start date again, please? But we're, happy to support and help out there. That note about, different documentation may depend on your visa status. Again, it really comes down to those financial documents and if you need an I-20 from us or not. Okay. I'll take a moment to speak about the cost of attendance just because I think it can be confusing. We talk about, tuition fees and the rates, and then the cost of attendance is always going to be different than that. It's always going to be more money than what an institution is ever going to charge you. The government wants to know you can afford direct costs and indirect costs. So that's why if you're looking at our tuition rate and you're saying like, wait a minute, 3,600 for 6 classes in a year, that doesn't come out to $37,000. That's because, the government wants us to account for living expenses, estimations of extracurricular expenses, and that's a figure that our financial aid office works on calculating and providing. I just think it's one of those things that can seem a little disingenuous sometimes, and you see this huge amount of money that's different than what you're being charged, but it's a requirement of the F1 status. And then I will take some time to talk about our CPT processing. So the way that our CPT program works is you can begin CPT the day that your classes start. You have to first be accepted into an academic program to apply for CPT. Because CPT is an academic exercise. So we need to know what curriculum you're pursuing before we can review a position. We do support full-time and part-time CPT, and the application process is fairly straightforward. We have our own application form that requests some information or details about your position. And then we also would have a verification of employment letter or an offer letter from your employer. The biggest component of that we really need is the job description with the duties and responsibilities. That's going to be how we determine if that position is sufficiently related to your degree program to be considered curricular. There are some other details that we do request, and that's just so we can put them in the database as is requested. As I had mentioned, there is the 1 credit internship course per year of CPT. At the end of that year, students submit a 2 to 3 page term paper kind of elucidating the connections between what they've been doing in the classroom and that specific position itself. And then you do have the ability to renew after a year. 1 year is the maximum amount of time that the system will actually allow us to authorize CPT. So that's why it's kind of based on those yearly increments. But from a compliance perspective, it also gives you the opportunity to establish its relatedness to your degree, each year you're pursuing it, which is just a best practice for your documentation purposes. I just want to take a minute to draw your attention to some of the current employers that our students are working for on CPT, because I think we have a really great range that speaks to kind of the flexibility of business degrees as they relate to different corporate spheres. So we have, Bank of America and Barclays, Citibank, but then we also have some students working at like Fox Rothschild as a law firm, or Kramer Levin, Naftalis and Frankel is also a law firm. We have someone working in marketing at Urban Outfitters. There's, a pretty wide range. What I tell students all the time is it depends on how the job description is written. What duties are in there and what kind of skills are they speaking to? That's really what we're looking at when it comes to evaluating CPT positions. Additionally, here are just some examples of current positions that we have people employed on through CPT. You have, various kinds of associates. You can pursue a career as an analyst, an office administrator, different kinds of specialists, application developers. There's just, a good range as far as the different positions that the programs at GBC can support for CPT purposes. As an institution, when it comes to the different resources that you have, there is my office, our Office of International Student Compliance, and you have PDSOs, which would be myself and other DSOs, to discuss different regulatory requirements, assist you with the application. We would also be there to help you coordinate that SEVIS record transfer. One of the trickier components with transferring is ensuring that seamless transition from OPT to CPT. So we do work with students to help them coordinate with their previous institution when to set that SEVIS record transfer. We also have a fantastic career services department that can help out with resume review and revising. They set up mock interviews. We have at least one career fair a semester, and the employers at those career fairs are educated on hiring on CPT. Because our career services office works so closely with our CPT process, they're able to kind of talk to some employers who may have questions or concerns. Additionally, they maintain a very comprehensive record of all the employers that we have had students work for on CPT, which can just be a helpful resource if you're finding you're having problems finding companies or employers who are open to CPT employment. One of the biggest questions I would say that we field is, how can I tell if my position is sufficiently degree related, or how do I know which program to choose that's going to align with my position? And my biggest piece of advice there is to take a look at the program page on our website and in our catalog. I encourage that just because that content is going to encapsulate the goals of that program, kind of the big picture aims of what they're trying to do. And if you can, look at some of those skills and look at some of the language and see that mirrored in your position, then that's a pretty good indication that it's sufficiently degree related. Looking deep into the curriculum can help as well, but I think this program page is a good starting point, just to evaluate, like, okay, is this related in any way, shape, or form? They'll have the words in that description that you'll be able to pick out as like, oh, those are those skills. That's what I'm doing. That's usually the best resource for students trying to determine degree relatedness. And that would be kind of all the information that I have specific to GBC. The contact information that's on there is my direct contact information, as well as our International Admissions Office's contact information. If you want to talk through anything, or you have a specific situation that you want to talk about, please reach out to us, set up a time to talk. We're more than happy to sit down with you.
Thank you, Hannah. That's wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for the detailed introduction. I think I already learned a lot today, and we do have a lot of questions popping up from the audience. Again, everyone here, if you haven't already, put your questions in the Q&A because it will begin right now. Okay, Hannah. Do you want to take down your slides so I can share screen our Q&A questions? All right, thank you. Hannah, are you able to see my share screen right now?
Yep, I can see it. Perfect. So yeah,
Okay.
the first question there, just can a
Mhm.
person live in a different area and do a job in a different area while on day one CPT? We don't have a requirement for how close somebody needs to live to campus or how close they need to live to their place of employer. While that allows for a great amount of flexibility, it also puts the responsibility on you as the student to meet your attendance obligations. So we do have students that, fly out to class 2 times a semester from San Francisco. We have some folks in Dallas. So we don't have a requirement, that is your choice to make.
Yeah, so feel free to fly in, just make sure you make it to the residency.
Yeah,
All right,
exactly.
our second question is, what is the vacation policy? Is CPT allowed during semester breaks?
So, as far as the vacation policy goes, because of how we define full-time enrollment, we don't really have a built-in vacation time. If you're going to be taking a break from enrollment that isn't for a medical authorization, then we would kind of have to navigate some different visa things there. However, your CPT would be continuous for a full year. So, when it comes to the break between the fall semester and the spring semester, it's not like you have to take a 3 or 4 week gap. It just depends on, um, you know, when you're doing your renewal. But even if your authorization expires in between semesters, we can still renew it. It's a continuous 1 year authorization.
Got it, thank you. And next question we got is monthly payment plan available? I think you just showed the finance office information earlier and seems like it is, right?
Mhm. Absolutely, yes.
Yeah, and is the down payment amount customizable or is there any?
There's no deposit required. Um, no upfront payment required. You can enroll in the payment plan and begin paying off those fees in increments from the start.
Oh, wow, that's very convenient because to our knowledge, many other of the schools we work with, they usually will require a quite amount of down payment to begin your plan. But yeah, looks like it's very convenient and GBC and they have competitive tuition as well. So our next question is, I recently lost my F1 status. What's the earliest date I can enroll? I think what's the most recent day we start?
So
It
we
should
do
be.
have a session coming up on March 17th. That would
Mhm.
be my recommendation, just depending, on the circumstances. We do have a smaller micro session for our entrepreneurship concentration starting February 24th. So if it were, an urgent situation, we could certainly work with you and see what we could do. Depending on the nature of your situation, you may need to leave the country and come back. Not necessarily for an embassy appointment, but even if we provide you with a new I-20 with a new SEVIS ID number, you will need to go through Customs and Border Patrol in order for that to then be your new valid SEVIS ID number.
Okay, got it. So also in the same situation, they will need to have their previous F1 visa still valid with
Yeah,
them to do that.
for
And
3.3.
also, I suppose they shouldn't lose their F1 status for a long time to do that too.
Yeah, very true. But the government is fairly, I don't want to say flexible, but if you submit your petition to have a status change or to have a status adjudicated, your presence then is legal. So it's very individual. It depends on the situation really, but we certainly, can sit down, talk, and have some options for you.
Hey, thank you, Anna. And just feel free to reach out to us if you have more a question coming up about the reentry or you recently lost your status. Just let us know and we can give a free consultation. And if we can't answer your question, Hannah is always a great resource for you. Okay, what is the last date to transfer civis after STEM OPT expiration? Yeah, what is the deadline at GBC?
Our deadline would really be the latest date is the first day of classes. You would also want to keep in mind when your OPT ends, you have a 60-day grace period. So you would just want to make sure that like your request to have your record transferred occurs within that 60-day grace period. But that would be really the only two components to think about there.
Okay, thank you. So at GBC, the deadline is first day of class. You do want to transfer in before that so you can get everything ready at the beginning of class and don't miss any of your assignments. So still try to plan things as early as you could.
Absolutely, yeah.
And next one is what is the upcoming enrollment dates and semester start dates? I think Hannah, you just said that's March 17th for most of the programs.
Mhm.
Yeah. And next one is when is the best time to apply for a CPT job if my goal is to relocate? Well, I'll leave that one to you, Hannah.
Yeah, I think it depends. I'm not entirely sure if you mean navigating a change of employer process. If that's the case, then it really depends on, when the offer is there from your new company and all of that. Um, when it comes to changing up your employers or leaving one position to relocate to another, we have our own process for that, and we're certainly really understanding that um, from your perspective as the employee, there's kind of an order of operations there. So like we need verification of your last date of employment with your previous employer, but you can wait until your new CPT is approved to give us that verification. That's just an example of some ways we kind of help navigate that. And there's no requirement for CPT. So if you're trying to relocate and you don't have something set up day one of your program, that doesn't mean you can't apply for CPT later. At any time, you're eligible to apply.
Yeah, thank you, Hannah. I think this question is pretty much personalized, and typically most company they need you to give them at least 2 week notice. So that kind of time planning with your HR also matters when it comes to this question. Yeah, thank you. And next one is how many credits needed to be completed for MBA? 21 or 36 credits. If it's 21, then can you extend the program? I suppose it's 30 credits and above, right?
Yeah, it's 36 credits overall. That is my fault. Just talking about those 7 core courses was probably a little misleading, but there is 36 credits overall. Um, Even though it's not necessarily that question, we can't extend a program, but we do have students who apply for and pursue additional programs because an additional degree with us would not be another full 2 years. So let's say you get an MBA with a concentration, you can pursue another concentration and only have to take 3 more classes. I can tell you students utilize that all the time if their H-1B gets approved, but their degree's ending in May and they still need employment authorization till October. That's usually how we navigate that.
Yeah, thank you. And typically adding one more concentration, that means they get to study one more semester or two more.
It would
Or
be a semester and a half.
oh, oh, so time-wise, so that's three sessions since there are two sessions in one semester. Got it. Thank you. And oh, if we adding into the CPT credit, that will take us to 38 credits for one program, right?
Yes, yes. Someone who does CPT for 2 years would graduate with 38 credits.
Got it. And 36 academic credit, two CPT relevant course credit. Okay. Number 9, we have any STEM program available. I do believe there is a business analytics concentration under MBA at GBC that's considered STEM. Yeah. Any planning for other programs to become STEM in future?
I think it's definitely something we're exploring. I know that as we are starting to move into some more of our partnership spaces with different educational platforms, we're going to be developing programs in like artificial intelligence and cybersecurity. And both of those programs, I think, would be STEM designated. So definitely the possibility for more on the way.
Great. And keep us posted. We'll be loving to hear more about the AI one. I mean, it's such a hot topic that I see many of my students asking for it nowadays. And the location,
Absolutely.
yes, well, yeah. It would be a really good one. And now we have, tuition of the program. Can a person live in LA and then work there while attending this program? I think for the second half, yes. And for the first half tuition, you said that's $610 for per credit.
Absolutely.
Yeah, great. So yeah, if you want program total or annual total estimate, you can also reach out to us by scanning the QR codes about. So any STEM program available, I think that's just switched location question. Let me check these two. Okay, coming up, we have how many credits can be transferred from their previous graduate degree?
Nine, up to nine.
Up to
Correct.
9 credit.
So a fourth of the degree, and we certainly have students who pursue that. You do have to opt for transfer credits when you begin your enrollment. So you can't get, 75% of the way through your degree and then say, well, now I want to transfer these credits in. They have to be transferred in at the start of your program. And then additionally, something I always encourage people to keep in mind with transfer credits is it will shorten your I-20 program end date. So if you transfer in credits, you're making degree progress at that point. Your program end date is going to be shortened accordingly, depending on when now you're going to finish with those transferred in credits.
Got it. Thank you, Hannah. And you said each semester there's typically like 6 credits. So for example, if this person transfer in 9 credits, that will shorter their term by like 3 sessions. That's
Yep.
like a semester and a half. So yes, you can do that. Just make sure to do early planning. You can transfer up to 9 credits, but your total program length will also be shortened. Thank you. And next one is any scholarship opportunities for our international graduate students?
Unfortunately, at the graduate level, we don't have any scholarship opportunities, domestic or international.
Okay, got it. Thank you. But again, remember everyone, the tuition at GBC is already very competitive. So next one is if I cannot acquire a job before school start, can I apply to CPT later during the semester?
Absolutely. At any time you can apply.
Okay, so there's no such thing as CPT application deadline at GBC, correct? Oh, how would that affect their CPT class then? Is there a set schedule for it or?
No, that we have, sections of them in each session. So it just gets added to your account, the session in which it's approved. So even if it doesn't align with that session start date, if the start date of your CPT falls within that session, that's when the credit goes on. And that, because it's a 1 credit CPT internship course, it doesn't fall under like our late registration policies. We do have a registration deadline in the semester itself, but because CPT is kind of like whenever you've got the position, that credit isn't beholden to that deadline.
Oh, thank you, Hannah. I think a lot of our students will appreciate this flexibility offered because many other schools, they do have a deadline at which time you need to apply for it. So yeah, that's very nice. And what is the approximate time frame for application submission to SEVIS transfer?
Okay, so I can only account for about 80% of that process. So from our end, it takes up to 2 weeks, usually just a week, to review an application once we have all of the materials. When it comes to your record actually being transferred, that is going to depend on your current institution. To be transparent about it, transferring a SEVIS record is not lengthy. It's about 3 button clicks. But depending on their volumes, their workflow, their processes, excuse me, it may take them some time to process your transfer request. So once you get us everything, we can get you what your previous school need within a week to 2 weeks. It's going to kind of be in their hands from that point then.
Hey, great. So about 2 weeks to know your admission result, then another 1 to 2 weeks for your SEVIS to receive. And also you need to check with your previous institution. I do see students whose previous institution is saying like they need 10 business days to process that. Yeah. And what I heard is just 1 click, but 3 clicks, that still sounds like instant. Yeah, process.
1 click to get you to the transfer screen, but then you got to put the info in. But yeah, it's not very lengthy, though it does take some schools longer. They have a huge volume, I think.
Yeah, totally understand. So make sure to check with your previous institution as well, how long they do need to do that for you. And don't forget, you can select which date you want your SEVIS to be released. Okay. Is there any substitute for CPT cooperative agreement? I think that's part of the CPT application process.
Yeah,
Yeah, based on the time today, we have maybe answer 2 or 3 more questions after this one, just a reminder. Yeah.
perfect. It's not a straightforward answer. Really, if we need some acknowledgement from the company, and if that acknowledgement is we will not sign a cooperative agreement, we can work with that. What I will say is that's risky for the student and for the employer, just because that cooperative agreement is part of how USCIS designates a valid CPT. I understand that a lot of employers are hesitant to sign it because they don't want to assess any academic pieces of what you're doing. The cooperative agreement we have does not ask them to do that. I still understand they may not want to sign it. Currently, we're working on it on a case-by-case basis. I'm really not in the industry of denying people employment opportunities. I want it to work out. We want it to be good, but we have to make sure that we have enough that you're not jeopardizing your visa compliance. That's our biggest priority.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Hannah, for the good explanation. I think the form or even any other type of acknowledgement, it's really there to protect yourself, like as international students, to make yourself compliant with F1 regulations. So yeah, and if you have any further questions, reach out to us, scan the code, or we can connect you with Hannah.
Mhm.
So next one on, do you have any specific dates for on-campus agreement? If, oh, I think they mean residency. If miss one of them, can I have alternative date of attendance?
So the dates are pretty set in stone. And, our faculty are getting pressure from academic affairs to maintain their modality and everything like that. Um, if you miss one session, I will direct you to work with the faculty member. Life happens, things happen, and we totally get that. The struggle becomes when it's a pattern of missing your in-person opportunities and requirements, but as far as like an alternative date to show up on campus, that's not really an option we would have. It's just something that we would work through at the time that it happened.
Hey, got it. And time-wise, oh, we still have a lot of questions, but I think I'll send the rest of the question to you through email, Hannah, but let's get maybe 1 or 2 more for today.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. Can you change jobs within semester? I think we just got this one is yes, definitely. And what's the minimum GPA requirement for CPT? I think that's what they're asking for.
Yeah, for admission, it's generally somewhere between like a 2.75 and a 3.0. If you're falling below that, that's why we request the resume. We like to look at people's work experience. Once someone is a current student, they need to be maintaining a 3.0 to maintain CPT eligibility. Now, obviously, if you have a bad session and your GPA dips below that, we're not gonna revoke your authorization overnight. You have a probationary period where you have an opportunity to get your GPA back where it needs to be. So it's not something that, you would lose your job because of one bad grade. It would be the start of a conversation.
Hey, nice. Thank you. We still have a lot of good questions for today, but again, as I said, I'll just email you, Hannah. And today's webinar recording will also be sent to everyone's email used at registration. And that will be it for today. Thank you, everyone, for stepping in today to our webinar. And thank you again, Hannah, for being with us here for the amazing information session.
Absolutely. Thanks for putting it on. It was a delight.
Yeah, such a pleasure to have you. All right, have a good night, everyone, and take care.